If you have recently applied for an entry-level tech position, you know that there are very few companies which are hiring for junior roles. And even for the companies which are hiring, the competition is extremely tough. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what are the reasons for this seniors only market which we are currently experiencing. And most importantly, if you are a junior software engineer, then what you can do in the current situation. I've been extensively researching the US tech job market for the last 4 months now. And for that, I've spent countless hours going through different job portals, different job positions, hundreds of pages of job reports published by companies like CompTIA and Dice.com, and statistics coming from Bureau of Labor and Statistics and Federal Reserve economic data. And based off all this research, I'm going to share my findings with you. But before we go deep into understanding why we are seeing this senior only dev market, I wanted to share what experiences I'm hearing from other people around me. I personally know about 20 to 30 junior people who are trying to either land their first job or have about 6 to 8 months of experience and trying to find their second job. They have been searching for many months but haven't found a single job opportunity yet. So pretty much every junior engineer I know of is going through a pretty tough time right now. And when I compare it against the senior people I know, for example, the company I'm currently working in had a big layoff about 4 months ago. Many of my dear colleagues and friends were let go. But since pretty much all of them were senior engineers, every single one of them were able to find another job within 2 months, which is clearly not the case for junior engineers. Now, to look at the state of affairs for junior engineers, let's go to LinkedIn jobs. When we look at all software engineering jobs within the US, we see that there are about 138,000 job opportunities. And when we filter it down to internship, entry level, and associate, which are junior roles, we see that there are about 37,000 job opportunities. Now, when you compare it against mid to senior level roles, the number is 85,000, which is about 2.5 times as compared to junior roles. And when we look at the number of applicants for the junior positions, we see that there are so many applicants for the jobs which are just listed. And to compare the competition between the senior roles and the junior roles, I tried to find a job which is posted ideally by the same employer at the same time for a senior position as well as for a junior position. And that's what I found. If you look at these two jobs, they are posted by same employer, which is Google. They're posted at the same time. Even the job title is almost same. It's just that one position is for junior engineer, the other is for a senior engineer. And we can see that for the junior position, there are 20 applicants already, whereas for the senior engineer, no one has still applied. And this clearly tells us that the current tech job market is definitely very, very senior friendly. And people who do not have much experience under their belt are going through a very hard time right now. Now let's look at why this is the case. The most important factor is that currently we are going through a high interest rate environment. Historically, especially for the last 2 to 3 decades, the interest rates have been hovering around 2%. And if the Fed has an interest rate of about 2%, companies historically have been expecting a profit of about 10%. For the last 2 years, the interest rates are about 5%. So investors are not happy with the previous 10% output on their investments, and they want much more. This puts a lot of pressure on the company executives who have to show more profitability with less income coming their way. And the only way they can do it is by extracting the maximum output from lesser number of people. Now, the desire to hire senior engineers was already there, but it has further gone up because of this expectations of higher profits. But in the current job market, the supply is also very high because a lot of companies are doing very mass layoffs. So companies who want to hire have a good amount of supply for senior software engineers as well as junior engineers. And of course, they would prefer senior engineers. Now, to understand why senior engineers are considered to produce higher output, you have to understand the concept of 10x engineer. It is a very popular term in the software industry, and the idea behind that is that one engineer is better than 10 engineers who are not so good. And some people take it to the extent that there are actually 100x engineers out there. And if you have a choice, you should hire a 10x engineer. And if you have a choice, you should hire one 10x engineer instead of hiring 10 not so good engineers. And the reason this is very cost effective is that the 10x engineer actually costs you about 3 times than a junior engineer. For example, in the US, if the cost to hire a junior engineer is about $100,000, you can hire a very good engineer for about $300,000, which will give you 10 times the output of a junior engineer. And if you're having a hard time understanding this phenomena, this is true for every knowledge economy. And think of it in this way, that if you have to go through a doctor for a very important medical procedure, would you hire one very seasoned professional doctor or would you hire 10 junior doctors? Of course, you would go for one senior doctor who knows very well what he's doing. The same is true for lawyers. If you have a very important case, would you hire one lawyer who's very good or hire 10 lawyers which are sort of average? When given this choice, pretty much everyone gravitates towards finding one person who is much better than others. It is usually considered the most suitable option when you are planning to get the best bang for your buck. So now, as we have understood why the market is favoring the senior engineers much more than they are favoring junior engineers, let's see that if you are a junior engineer in the current tough market, what you can do about it. The very first thing I would say is that understand that this phase will also pass. I've analyzed the tech job market starting from 1985 to 2024, and I've never seen the tech job market being so tough for so long. So this is definitely an extraordinary time we are going through. And as we have figured out that the high interest rate is the main root cause for it, and Fed has recently given signals that they are planning to start reducing the interest rates very soon, it means that the toughness in the tech job market will be loosening up in the next few months. It is a very innate human tendency that whatever circumstances we are going through, whether good or bad, we think that that is going to be the case forever, but that is just not true. The current tech job market is very hard right now. There is no doubt about it. But is it going to stay the same forever? No way. My second advice to a junior engineer who is going through a tough time right now is to understand that this can take some time. For you to land a new job, it can take some time. If I'm a junior engineer right now, I will try to give myself time at least till July 2025, which is 1 year from now. And if you give yourself this much time, that will relieve the pressure on you, which you might be currently experiencing. So keep applying, keep learning, and try to buy some time for you. The current job market is tough, but it's not going to stay the same. The other thing I want to highlight is that the current times like this are actually true because they weed out the people who are not so serious about their professions, and people who successfully emerge on the other side see much less competition and a lot more opportunities. So the question is that would you be able to go through this difficult time, or would you leave the tech job market? Because people who could go through this adversity through resilience will emerge on the other side much more successful. And lastly, I want to say that if you are in a profession which gives a much bigger payout to people who are more experienced, this is actually a very good thing. You want to be in a profession where number of years of experience actually matter. And considering that tech job market is so, I personally think this makes it a very good career. Let me share a personal story here. I made a transition from a full stack software engineer to AI ML engineer about 10 years ago. And the reason I wanted to make that transition was that once I was in the career as a full stack developer for 4 to 5 years, what I realized is that my core competence at that time was just programming language proficiency. And I thought that though it can take some time to develop that proficiency, but if I just stay at that career, anyone who is coming out of college in 2 to 3 years would be able to compete with me. So I wanted to transition into a much deeper career, which is much more difficult to get into because in that kind of career, the number of years of experience actually matter. And that's why I transitioned to AI ML, because in AI ML, you not only need to have programming proficiency, you need to know how databases and different data systems work. You need to have a very solid understanding of statistics and math and a lot of ML algorithms. And when I made that transition, it was super hard. It's been 10 years, and in these 10 years, I have read hundreds of books which are very math dense and difficult to read and understand. And I've taken almost twice as many online courses to understand different concepts of statistics and databases and all that. But right now, I think that all that effort was very well worth it, because with my current knowledge Anyone who is coming out of college with 1 to 2 years of experience cannot compete with me. Someone has to go through the 10 years of grind of reading those very difficult books and courses and all that practical experience which I've gained to be able to compete with me. And this is the fruit you get when you go through the hard time and hard labor, which most of the junior engineers listening to this would be going through right now. So in nutshell, the crux of the matter is that the tech job market indeed is favoring senior engineers much more than junior engineers. And though there are some positive signals coming from Fed in terms of reducing the interest rates, but it is still going to take some time, at least a year, for the job market to be much better. So the decision you have to make is either you go all in or go all out. If you go all in, then give yourself a 1-year time period. Learn as much as you can throughout this time and just keep applying. Or just go all out and find another career which is more suitable for you. I hope you like this video. Thank you so much for watching.